Hi everyone, my name is Ray and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to teach others, how to maybe even persuade, or how to make them understand you much better. In other words, people like your parents, people like your brothers and sisters, people like your friends that don't really get the different things that you understand, and you really want to make them understand from your own perspective. For many various reasons, of course. I'm going to teach you the best methods that I've learned during my years, or my many years as a teacher. So, stay tuned. Now, we all want to be understood. And there are people that have the gift of explaining themselves much better than others. How do they do it? Subconsciously and on an unconscious level. I want you to understand how they think in order for you to be able to mimic that and to get more people to understand you. Now, why do we want people to understand us? Sometimes it's an ego thing. It's a game of I'm right and you're wrong. Sometimes because we want to support our theories or our ideas with facts. Sometimes because we simply want to be understood. It doesn't matter why, even if you want to teach other people or teach in a group, like what I do usually, I want you to be able to explain yourself. I want you to elaborate your ideas, and I want people to stop resisting them. So I'm going to teach you how I teach. Now, in every idea that we have, or a theory that we have, if it's simple, then it's not a problem to explain. If it's elaborate or complicated and it requires a lot of information, then most people won't get everything. So the best way for people to remember the things that you say has to do with the different senses. In other words, if they can see an image or a video, if you can explain using your hands as well, because that's also something that the subconscious understands, because our hands do the talking. The five senses, if you remember, in your life, you're going to remember the high peaks, energetic peaks, and the low energetic peaks, in other words, places that you were in love and the first kisses, or your tragedies, everything that was attached to an emotion in some way, or to the five senses. For example, if you will think about a food that you really love, you will be able to smell it. And if you will smell something, you will be able to remember an occasion that you had in your life. So when you do want to explain in a way that people will understand, you have to connect it also to their emotion. The second thing you need to understand is that each person is unique and different. Now, think about it. If you're teaching a class of IT people or a class of salespeople, or if you're talking to your mom, which can be much more abstract, maybe your mom is an artist, or you're talking to an accountant that you know is a very logical person that needs 1, 2, 3, 4. Every different person has a different experience. So, for example, when I'm explaining to my father, which is an Orthodox Jew, we call them the penguins, the one that dress in black and white. When I'm explaining to him something about what I do and what I teach outside of Israel, because the Orthodox Jews, like all Jews, have sinned by keeping their teachings for themselves. So when I explain to him, I talk about God, I talk about angels, I talk about messengers, I use a lot of biblical language. And if I'm talking to a scientist, I will only stick to facts, percentages, things that I know that science has already solved and supported. And if I'm talking to someone who is like my sister, which is pretty much like an Indian girl, completely abstract and only from the heart, then I know that I have to talk to the heart itself. I have to talk about the way that I feel about something. I have to talk about the way that she's going to feel if she understands it or if she goes into the experience of it, for example. Now, most people have one active way of understanding. Most people that follow me, like my viewers, they will understand through the head. Now, it doesn't mean that the heart is closed. It just means that the gate of the head is more open and more receptible than the gate of the heart. Usually, these people are more thinkers, and sometimes they're even overthinkers, like I used to be. The gate of the heart also works, but if you're talking about a thinker, then again, you have to stick to facts. When you stick to facts and you want to be understood, I would really recommend that you use theories, stories, symbols, because what happens is that the subconscious, which pretty much is 90% of our head, the 10%, it's like a glacier. You see only the peak. That's the consciousness. And the subconscious is everything that runs the show, the belief systems and everything that is underlying. And when you explain something to someone, if it's too overwhelming for their belief system, that is the subconscious that is resisting it, and then they won't be able to listen. So what you need to do is you need to slowly move into, put like a breadcrumb trail of facts and things that they cannot ignore. You can ask them different questions to make them understand that they already understand the fundamentals and the infrastructure of the point that you are trying to reach as well. Now, you should use as many metaphors, as many theories, as many stories and symbols as you can. And the reason for this is because the subconscious hears those things. In other words, if you've ever read a good book, talked to a guru or a mentor, they will always talk to you in stories, because the stories go in between the lines. The person that is only analytic, he will read the words themselves, but they won't mean anything. What you need to do is work on the subconscious level. When you choose to use examples in order to infiltrate the subconscious of the person, in order for them to understand you much better, use the type of examples that correlate to everyone. For example, and this is how I'm teaching you how I'm teaching, I use alarm clock stories. So when I explain to people about the power of the subconscious or how powerful their mind really is, I tell them, have you ever noticed that there's many times in your life that you wake up 2 or 3 minutes before your alarm clock? And of course, 90% of them raise their hand because it happens to everyone. And then I tell them, you know why that happens? And then I ask, no, why? It happens because your mind knows you hate your alarm clock, because nobody likes to wake up with your alarm clock, right? And that means that the mind always knows exactly what time it is, so it wakes you up 2 to 3 minutes before your alarm clock, and you're looking at it and you say, oh my God, what a coincidence. I really needed to wake up right now. No, no, no. So you see, there's 2 examples that I gave here. The first one is that an example that 95% of the people will probably understand that happens in their life. So you can talk about your heartbreaks, you can talk about your relationships, you can talk about anything that happened to you on an emotional level that you know will correlate to most of the population. And the second thing that I'm doing here is I'm using a lot of humor. I am very authentic, I'm very myself. I talk out of a knowingness, and they know that I know. So it's really easy for me to be myself. Now, the more attention you will get, the more knowledgeable you'll become, others will come seeking information from you, because they will understand that in some way you understand things or know how to connect things that others still don't know how to. So you will become eventually a teacher, and that's what a lot of people want to be. It doesn't matter if it's for groups or in lectures and stuff like that, or open a YouTube channel like I did or other people did. It's about passing on information, and eventually our ego also wants to feel less alienated, and we want to feel like we are normal, even though most of us are weird rebels that don't belong anywhere. So the focus is to make it more humorous, because it's much easier when it's lighter and you don't have to argue if somebody doesn't understand you. I think Jim Carrey has a beautiful saying where everybody understands from their own level of awareness. You are up in the mountain and you can see the whole mountain and all the tracks that have been building up. Not everybody is exactly where you are in the consciousness mountain. So you can feel like you are more than they are, which you are not, because we are all the same. Or you can try to explain using the basic fundamentals of what it is that you understand. And eventually what we want is to help other people. Again, not everybody is going to understand everything that you want to explain. So you might not always feel understood, and that's okay. Not everybody is meant to understand everything in that point in time. Sometimes we need to be patient. Sometimes we need to talk slower. You have to really readjust yourself for the other person, because the purpose is not for you to explain something, but for the other person to understand something. And many times when I mentor different people who lecture and they give me their presentations, and I tell them, dude, this is like a 30-minute presentation and you got an hour and a half of information here. No, cut everything down by 90% and give more examples. It's better that someone will understand one topic profoundly than he will try to understand 10 different topics on a very, very fundamental level. And they won't, because they won't remember anything from that. But they will remember if you're talking and explaining about one subject deeply. I think I've given a lot in this video, and I really hope that you captured as much as you can. I highly recommend that you review the video again. I don't really remember everything that I've talked about because half of the time I'm really focused on the next idea, so I'm pretty much channeling and downloading ideas as I go. So thank you very much for staying all the way to the end, my friends. If you have any comments, any questions that you'd like to ask, any new ideas about how to teach other people so you'll be understood much more, please write them down in the comment section below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, I would deeply appreciate it if you share it, if you like it. If you enjoy my stuff, go on my website and sign up to my newsletter. It's raymaor.com. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Namaste, my friends.